So what did you make of the time? Because it was around about 13 seconds outside standard.
Well, just visually taking a guess at it, it looked like a slow, fast, slow race, didn't it? To be such a bad... Maybe it's a bit softer down the back, but it favoured hold-up horses the way it played out, yet they didn't appear to go much for gallop. So I can only infer they maybe went a bit too soon. The winner's a bit keen, that's what would worry me. She did very well to win on the day, but she's going to have to settle better than that. She's going to win an Oaks.
Second career start, early season freshness.
Yeah, could well be.
Frankie dropped his whip as well.
Right.
About 2.5.
She's very talented, I would say, but she's going to have to settle. She's going to throw the Oaks away in the first 2 furlongs if she does that again. So, yeah, very interesting race.
The Timeform ratings have next edition out in front of him for Philip Kirby and Phil Dennis, who claims 5. The Resolve is the market leader when we last looked, and he's £6 extra for that Southall win, where he sort of grounded out pretty well. It took a while for him to get on top, but there was, to my eye, a sense of inevitability about him getting on top.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, he saw the trip out really well, and looks pretty solid form as well. Big gaps behind him, beating Star Ascending that day for Alan Swinbank. And I think this is a horse that, under a penalty, isn't a bargain at the weights, because it takes him up to 71, doesn't it? And if you look through his record, he's had trouble winning off more than 65 before over hurdles, but he's probably in better form now than he's ever been. Conditions are okay for him. Should go well. I kind of feel he's a little bit vulnerable at the weights, but that's it, really. That's the most I could knock him for.
Frightened Rabbit is...
Great name.
It is a good name. Slightly shorter in the market than I expected. There's cheek pieces put on there in the hope that he can sort of put his best foot forward, and that isn't something that he always does. He's got an inconsistent profile over both hurdles and on the level.
Yeah, so he showed signs of ability, really, and he won a Hamilton handicap of 56 well on first-time blinkers, but he's always been a horse that's hard to predict. Cheek pieces are on this time. Maybe that's felt that will help. The ground isn't a problem, but which Frightened Rabbit you're going to get? Not a sentence I thought I'd ever say, but I'm not sure. On his day, clearly we know from the form book that he can run well.
There is money coming for Pertwee. Can you see why? I mean, the obvious angle with this horse is that he's a real specialist at Catterick. He loves it. He's going for his 4th course and distance success here.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely the angle, and it's a very sensible angle as well. He's got form on soft ground over hurdles. His last encounter with soft ground on the flat, he didn't run so well, but it's not a problem for him, I don't think. And he scored off a perch of 61 and 64. Mind, he did have the Good Shepherd on when he scored off 64, so that really counts as 57, as the Good Shepherd is going places. And today he's off 63, so he fits well in the grade. It's a course he loves. Conditions are okay, grimly on board, and he was a big price, wasn't he? And yeah, I imagine it's just value sharks hoovering up some greedy double-digit quotes more than anything else.
You mentioned Callum Shepherd there. We saw Nathan Evans ride a winner in the first. We saw Danielle Mooney, 2 apprentices that have won the first 2 races. We've got Nathan riding here, George Buckle, who's been out in Maidan. I know that we did a feature, it must have been a couple of years ago, at Pontefract about young jockeys, and we did A over E's and etc. Sample sizes and whatnot. Yeah. Early on in the season, there will be people who, for example, over the obstacles, would have latched onto Harry Cobden pretty early. There's a few young jockeys, the next wave of young jockeys coming through. How early on can you make a call on a horse, on a jockey who is perhaps slightly more talented than the market gives him credit for?
Yeah, it's a terrific question, and I haven't got a lot of time to answer it. It's a very, very good question. The answer is it's extremely difficult to do so. People say, oh, well, yeah, I could tell he was a good rider from the moment he walked in the yard, but of course that's, people say that after the fact. No one says it about a failed jockey, so...
and yet you need a sample size in which to base it off, but it has to be smaller than your normal sample size.
To me, Callum Shepherd's reached a point where I would happily say that he's a very good rider for amongst all £5 claimers. Others in this race, in particular Nathan Evans, Phil Dennis, may well do. But you need to achieve standout results, not just in terms of wins, but in terms of the way that you need to ride horses who perform better for you than they do for other people. That's what we're looking at. It's like when Jack Butland doesn't play for Stoke because he's injured. Stoke can't stop a single shot. So your value over average, your value over your replacement is the big factor in life in the realm of sport, and that's what you should be looking for. You should be looking for apprentices who win on horses that other people can't win on. That's a big tip.
Ready to go. And they're off. 12 furlongs in front of this field. One or two of them a little slow to find their stride. Most notably Deep Resolve and Pertwee, last year's winner, also took a little bit of cranking up as they go through the first of 12 furlongs in this, the first division of the 2016 Catterick 12 furlong series. Handicap Catterick was nicely away. That one running against the rail. Astra Hall's alongside. Moon over Rio well to the fore. Just in behind that one is Frightened Rabbit in the almost black jacket. San Cassiano is further back, chased by Applejack Lad. To the inside is That Be Grand in midfield. Aldrich to the outside and Next Edition as they go to the turn. Whitchurch, Pertwee and Deep Resolve are the last three. 10 lengths first to last as they round the paddock turn. It's Catterick who has the lead. Astra Hall is running in second place in the light green and the white silks. Frightened Rabbit gets a nice toe from the leaders. San Cassiano to the inside running rail as they go now towards the back straight and approach the final 7 furlongs. Applejack Lad, That Be Grand are in midfield, followed by Aldrich, Next Edition, Whitchurch, Deep Resolve and Pertwee. It is Catterick, the pace setter. Catterick in front by about 3 parts of a length to Astra Hall running in second spot. A length away in third, Frightened Rabbit, who's got about a half length on Moon over Rio in the blue and yellow silks. Then the maroon and white is San Cassiano. Another length to Applejack Lad, That Be Grand to the inside of Aldrich and Mick Easterby Yard. Next Edition under lock and key, followed by Stable Companion, Whitchurch, Pertwee. The grey is between runners and Deep Resolve is posted 3 wide, about 10 lengths off the pace. The pace setter is Catterick with 5 furlongs left to go. Astra Hall still there to the outside. Frightened Rabbit is just in behind them for Philip Macon as they now edge towards the end of the back straight. Following Frightened Rabbit is Moon over Rio, followed to the inside by San Cassiano, Applejack Lad. That Be Grand is further back. Aldrich and the blue and white silks is 3 wide. Next Edition is next, chased by Whitchurch, Deep Resolve and Pertwee. They're on the downhill run, running back towards home, and Catterick has waved the white flag now to Astra Hall. Astra Hall and Moon over Rio. These two moving on from Frightened Rabbit in third place. San Cassiano being asked to pick up, followed by Applejack Lad at the top of the straight. Astra Hall tries to kick on. It's Astra Hall by 2 lengths to Moon over Rio in second. Frightened Rabbit is back in third place. A furlong and a half left to go. Next Edition is trying to pick up. Aldrich and Deep Resolve follow. Deep Resolve is down the wide outside. A furlong left to gallop, and it is Astra Hall who is in front and has a nice advantage of about 3 lengths of a Moon over Rio. Frightened Rabbit and then Applejack Lad, but this will go the way of Astra Hall in the hands of George Buckle. Astra Hall the winner, Applejack Lad second, Moon over Rio third, and then Frightened Rabbit.
Well, we were speaking about talented apprentices beforehand, and George Buckle has ridden a really good race here on Astra Hall to win this at 8-1. Yes, she came in on the back of a win and a decent win at that. She's clearly in good heart with herself, but it was helped massively by George getting the fractions spot on out in front, kicking at the right point, knowing that he had enough force underneath him. And he is a jockey that we touched on beforehand, albeit briefly, who's had a spell in the UAE this winter. He's come back after having lots of riding experience out there, and he's proved that experience, and I'm sure he will continue to prove throughout the course of this turf season, that experience has stood him in good stead.
Yeah, he's 2 for 2 on this horse now, won on both his starts. Of course, it's a Mick Appleby beast, and if I was an apprentice, even I could ride a winner for Mick Appleby. Good grief, what a trainer, ridiculous. And this Astra Hall now was on her own. This was an impressive success, and the jockey deserved credit, George Buckle, but the horses have just suddenly improved. It's these from the front racing boys. They've got great taste in trainers. Ivan Furtado
And Mick Appleby.
Mick Appleby and others. I'll do some research.
Easy for the jockey when you see the owners.
Yeah.
Just go from the front.
From the front racing, yeah.
8-1 the winner's return, 16-1 second, Applejack Lad. Moon over Rio, 16-1 in third. Heading over to Epsom for the Investec Corporate Banking Great Metropolitan Handicap over 1.5 miles. Won last year by Lungano Palace, who is lining up in this race once again. Gold Prince is the non-runner, which means we're left with a field of 12. And the runners making their way down to the start, and the market leader here is Prendergast Hill at 9-2, who is well backed and ran well on his seasonal reappearance, just having his 5th career start today. Oasis Fantasy 5-1, a bit of money for Agent Gibbs at 6-1 from 7-1. 7-1 and bigger the rest.
Now it's time for the Investec Corporate Banking Great Metropolitan Handicap. We're starting with horse number 1, the